Alright, people. It's been a while since I did one of these videos, and I don't know when I'm going to do the next one. It's been a long ass time. It seemed like every time I wanted to do one of these videos, something came up and I got distracted. But I said, you know what? Fuck it. I intended to release this last night, or at least early this morning, but end up falling asleep. So as soon as I woke up, this is like one of my main priorities. The first video I was going to drop today had to be the retro modernization because I didn't want to wait another day for you guys to get it. So with that being said, here you guys are for, or at least until the foreseeable future, the final retro modernization. And this one was the hardest retro modernization build that I ever had to do, because I had to change this literally countless times just to get it to where it is now. And it's one of those builds that it's kind of like a love-hate kind of thing, because it's so much that needs to happen with it. And I'm pretty sure some of you may take this build and even modify it to make it even better. At least that's my hope. But this was the best that I could do. Now, mind you, I hadn't played Yu-Gi-Oh in quite some time. I mean, I'm talking like almost like a full 2 months. Like, I wasn't researching cards like I used to, so I wasn't really able to pick up on what it is that like the build needed right away. I had to go back. I had to continue to research cards and research things, and just it was just an uphill battle trying to complete this build. But all in all, I figured that it was as good as it's going to get, at least for the time being. Like I said, unless you guys decide to modify it, which I'm pretty sure some of you will. But right now, this is it, man. This is it. This is the last retro modernization, and I just wanted it to be right. And so sorry if it's taking it so long. Well, this I have to correct myself. This isn't going to be the final retro modernization, just the final one for the foreseeable future, because I'm pretty sure that if I keep looking, I'm going to find other things to make builds about from yesteryear. But I can't, guarantee that I'm going to be getting done, that I'm going to be able to get done with those decks um, in time for me to do another retro modernization, say like next week. I don't know when those builds are going to get done. So for the time being, this is going to be it. You know, until I make until I make an announcement that, hey, I got these other builds that I want you guys to expect for another retro modernization. So this is the last one for the time being. All right. So seeing that this one took me uh, quite some time, I guess I haven't done this in a while. So forgive me if this video doesn't live up to par as to the other ones. I'm trying to make sure that, like, one thing I haven't forgotten is that the videos used to conk out and jump. So let me add this card back in there. This is one of the cards I had in there anyway. So yeah, might as well throw that back in there. Excuse me. So yeah. So for retro modernization, this video we're going to be talking about the Senet cards. Now the Senet are like a series of cards that kind of simulates, like the name of the build was called, the original name of the build was called Adjacent Chess. Adjacent Chess. And the whole uh, strategy, which is the reason why I say it was like a love and hate kind of thing, is because like the strategy was based around moving your monsters to an unoccupied uh, monster zone in order for you to activate cards like Blast Fuse, which destroys all the card within that column. And this is like a rare strategy that no other archetype or build or card series has tried to even emulate, because it's one of those difficult things that it almost can be taken as like a novelty. And it's one of those things where you really have to get into the archetype or like that series of cards in order for you to understand it and really use it well. Otherwise, you're just not gonna be interested in it. And it's a lot of easier things to to use in Yu-Gi-Oh. So it's easy to see why a lot of people uh, strayed away from a a series of cards like this. And with that being said, man, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you guys the rundown of all the cards that are in the main deck, all the cards that are in the extra, the cards that I have as some suggestions. As you guys know, for since I've done these retro modernization, I've kind of revealed I never use my side deck like that. It's always just been like a placeholder to remind me of what cards I can throw in there, later on in case I want to try something new in or use like a different strategy later on down the line. Uh, I really don't use my side deck like that. Um, but I'm going to let you know what cards I have in there and why they're, you know, some card suggestions right there. So, I guess I'll start with the main deck. First, I have one Altitude Knight, two Camera Clops, three Lady Ninja Yay, three Mass Ninja Ibisu, three Rampaging Rhinos, three Storm Shooters, three Whirlwind Prodigies, and three Winged Rhinos. That's it for the monsters. For the spells, I got two Double Summon, one Ground Collapse, two Mass Change Second, two Mystical Space Typhoon, two Reinforcement of the Army, one Senate Switch, three Blasting Fuse, two Call of the Haunted, three Prisons, three Fiendish Chains, and now three Spiritual Wind Art Miyabi. And for extra deck, I have two Masked Hero Kamikaze, two Gaia Dragon, the Thunder Charger, Gauntlet Launcher, three Honor Arcs, one Big Eye, one Force Focus, um, two Heartland Drago, and I have one Photon Strike Bouncer. And for the side, the cards that I have in there, again, I don't use my side deck. These are just used as just some references to maybe look back on later on, and to try to do something different with the build. So I have one Ninkin Dog, two Altitude Knight, one Camera Clops, three Swift Birdman Joe, Axe of Despair, a ground collapse, a Magnum Shield, a Mystical Space Typhoon, a Reasoning, a Senate Switch, and another Fiendish. Now, the whole entire strategy for this build, again, is to use the abilities of Storm Shooter or Rampaging Rhinos in order to move your monsters into an adjacent, an unoccupied adjacent monster card zone. Like you either move it to the left or to the right, as long as the space is not, as long as that monster zone isn't occupied by a monster. So it's literally like playing adjacent chess. Now, as far as the monsters that don't have the abilities such as Rampaging Rhinos and Storm Shooter, um, you have a card like this, which allows you to pretty much use the effects that these two have. You know, it's really just in spell card form. You can use it on any monster, and you can move one monster on your side of the field to an adjacent unoccupied monster card zone. So either you can use their abilities, Storm Shooter and like Wing Rhinos, you will be able to use their abilities and then move them over again using the effect of uh Senate Switch. You'll be able to move them over once more, or pretty much just use whatever you need to get them in position in order to use Blasting Fuse, because that's like the key card right there. Now, another thing about Blasting Fuse, one of the ace monsters that you really want to focus on using with Blasting Fuse is Winged Rhinos. Now, even though Winged Rhinos isn't really a part of that series of cards that can move from or move to an unoccupied monster card zone, I still believe it's a part of that same series of cards just because of its effect and the way that it works. And I think it's just perfect for, this build. And when using Blasting Fuse, as it says right here, like Winged Rhinos, during either player's turn, when a trap card is activated, except during the damage step, you can return this face-up card from the field to the hand. Now with Blasting Fuse, it destroys all 4 cards that are within that column. And what Winged Rhinos is that it can move itself out the way, and only your opponent's cards within that column is going to get destroyed. Because Winged Rhinos effects activates after you already activated Blasting Fuse, so that effect is already going through, and it's like Winged Rhinos just moves itself out the way so that it doesn't get destroyed, and only your opponent's cards get destroyed. So that's what makes this so good. And so that's like the main focus of the build right there. It's just to pretty much play chess with your opponent. That's basically what it is. Not to mention that these monsters themselves have abilities that activate, that they have abilities that you can use, such as Storm Shooter. When it's in the same column as when your opponent has a monster spell and trap card that's in the same column, then you're able to bounce it back to their hand. Or when Rampaging Rhinos is in the same column as a monster that it's attacking, then it gains 500 attack during the damage step. Like there's effects that happen with these monsters that, that really makes this a unique experience for anybody that's never even bothered with this series of cards before. So it is tricky. Now, I have Whirlwind Prodigy in there as well as Double Summon in order to help you get out Storm Shooter just like a little bit faster and a little bit easier. With Whirlwind Prodigy, it treats itself as it can treat itself as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a wind monster. And with Storm Shooter, it's level 7. It's just 1 level over. Well, not, yeah. Like, Storm Shooter is just 1 level over. And it's crossing over into that 2 tribute zone. Well, like with the levels, level 5 and level 6 only need 1 tribute. Level 7, and up, unless otherwise specifically stated by the card, only needs 2. So I got Whirlwind Prodigy in there and Double Summon in order to make that easier. Ground Collapse is in there simply just to make it harder for your opponent to, pretty much to give you more control over which monster card zones you want your opponent to use. You can take away 2 other monster card zones. Hence the reason why I have another Ground Collapse in there, or another Ground Collapse in the side deck. So in case you want to take something out and focus more on that, you can do that, and just limit the space that your opponent's monsters will be able to do. Your opponent's monsters will be able to move around. 2, or just limit the monster card zones that your opponent will be able to use, so that you can have more control over where those monsters are going to be, and kind of putting you in a position where you can have more control over how you're going to use Blasting Fuse and the effects of Rampaging Rhinos and Storm Shooter. Now, if Storm Shooter is like too much for anybody to use, my original build had Swift Birdman Joe in it. for the simple fact that one, like they have like the same attack. It's just that Swift Birdman Joe has, you know, it is like one level less, so it's easier to get out, and it also has an effect that returns all spells and traps on the field back to the owner's hands. So that can be helpful, especially these days when you don't really have too many options to completely get rid of an opponent's back row. I think that's pretty uh, useful. And with Lady Ninja Ye and Ibizu, they're pretty much in there for the same reason. With Ibizu, it's in there pretty much to be used as ammo for Lady Ninja Ye, and vice versa. They're pretty much in there to get rid of your opponent's back row. That's why they're in there. Altitude Knighting is in there because in the event where um, you use the abilities of one of these other monsters or one of these other cards, you're able to send one wind monster from your deck to your graveyard, which would probably be Storm Shooter. I'm saying, like, that would be your main focus. Or if you run a Swift Birdman Joe instead, then you can activate Call of the Haunted later on in the game, and you can special summon it from the graveyard, or even or even Wing Rhinos. You know, um, so that's it for that. Now, Camera Clops is in there as it's in there just as like a wild card. It doesn't really coincide with the Wind Monster or the adjacent chess motif that the build is based around. It's in there literally like a wild card, and it has a good ability that if this card attacks a face-up monster on the field at the start of the damage step, destroy that monster. Its defense must be higher than this card's attack to activate and to resolve this effect. So Camera Clops is in there literally just to get rid of like those big problem cards that can be destroyed by card effects. That's what Camera Clops is in there for. Of course, there's D-Prison that can get rid of your opponent's monsters that can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects. I always like to get those in there. And Fiendish Chain is in there to, drain your, to negate your opponent's effect monsters' effects, also while preventing them from attacking. And I also threw in 2 Mass Change Seconds. Since I am using a bunch of wind monsters, I thought it'd be cool to try to use Masked Hero Kamikaze, because it limits the amount of attacks your opponent can do, as well as when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, it gives you draw power. So that's something great right there. And I put in 3 Spiritual Wind Art Miyabis because it can bounce one of your opponent's cards, on the field back to the bottom of their deck. So it's one of those things where when you, again, for the same reason why I have pretty much for the same reason why I have Dimensional Prison in this build. That's the reason why I have Spiritual Wind Art Miyabi in there, so that you can just get rid of those problematic cards that can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects, because there seems to be like a lot more of those in the game being used these days. So you need to have those. So you really need to have those options. Now, of course, I got Reinforcement of the Army to search out Lady Ninja Ye and Mass Ninja Ibizu, Altitude Knight, Camera Clops, to help get those guys out on the field easier. And again, I changed this deck several times, so having a card like Axe of Despair in there could help. Magnum Shield, depending on if you're going for more of like either like a beatdown strategy or more of like I don't know, how can I put it? You trying to get rid of your opponent's um, um, more annoying monsters. then I guess that's going to be the deciding factor on whether or not you want to use cards like Axe of Despair or Magnum Shield. Now, again, Magnum Shield is only going to work with the Warriors, but it's still useful. I mean, I wouldn't use it on Lady Ninja Yay because she's just in there again to get rid of your opponent's spells and traps, as well as Masked Ninja Ibizu, who I feel like it's going to work best on. Um, because that's like 3,000 attack for it when it's equipped with, so like Magnum Shield, and as well as Master Hero Kamikaze. You can use it on it too. I mean, that is a lot of attack power that it's going to gain. And Reasoning was in my previous version of this build as well, because it helped me, more times than none, when your opponent sees what it is you're using, they're going to guess that you're going to just get like another, say like level 4. However, this build has like a level 3 in it, and it has a level 7 in it. And with the exception of Swift Birdman Joe, let's say you take out Camera Clops and you want to use these two, that's 3 levels that your opponent won't be expecting. So chances are you're going to end up milling one of those, and you'll be able to special summon something to the field. Rampaging Rhinos is only level 3, even though it's a Earth attribute monster. It's only level 3, and Storm Shooter, it's level 7, and Swift Birdman Joe is level 6 if you use it. So, hey, that's something right there. And I don't even know why the hell I put Ninkin Dog. I had an idea as to what I was going to do with it, and then it just completely like blah. So, so moving on to the extra deck cards. Heartland Drago number 82. It's a helpful monster. As long as you have a face-up spell card, it can't be targeted for its attacks, and it has an effect, where it can attack your opponent directly. So I guess if you were to do something to raise its attack with like cards like Axe of Despair, it's 3,000 that your opponent can get hit with, like with every attack. So that right there could be something you could use. The rest of these are in here just as like safety nets, literally in there for safety nets. I don't even think of extra deck monsters as monsters to actually like use like beat sticks or anything like that. I don't need that extra attack power because I got cards again like Deep Prison, Fiendish Chain, and cards like Storm Shooter's ability, and also Spiritual Wind Art Miyabi. I have these cards to get rid of those problems off the field, with literally little to no worry. So I'm not worried about being able to, so I'm not really worried about needing beat sticks as much as I'm going to be worried about just trying to get my opponent's monsters off the field. So that's pretty much it. Now I have not random. I have the proper ranks for each of the monsters that you could potentially be using. I have level 4s. I don't have any rank 3s because I couldn't really find any useful rank 3s. And besides, with Rampaging Rhinos' effect, it boosts its attack by 500 when it's attacking a monster in its column. So like I figured that could be helpful in itself to where it won't hurt you too bad. But nevertheless, there's rank 4s, there's rank 6s, and there's rank 7s in there. So regardless if you're using one of the level 4 monsters, Swift Birdman Joe, you get 2 of them on the field, or 2 Storm Shooters on the field, then you're pretty much safe, man. You're pretty much safe. And let me see. You know what? I just thought of something. Let me see. No, because I just thought of something. Hold on. I know I'm kind of doing this on the fly, but the idea just came into my head. Let me see if I can find this damn card. I don't even think they released it on here yet. Yeah, like I don't think they released it on here yet. I don't even think it's a, wait, they probably did. I'm probably looking under the wrong. Yeah, right here. Mass change. Well, that's if you're running a hero monster. I guess this would be a, a way for you to quickly search out mass change second. So that could be something. So I guess if you're going to use a monster, I guess it would be Elemental Hero Avian. Just for the simple fact that it's wind, and it's kind of sticking with that wind attribute, motif. You're able to use spiritual wind art Miyabi on it, and what have you. And yeah, man. So that's gonna be it for this video. Again, I'm pretty sure some people are going to change these cards around. This is the best that I could do with this series of cards. It is not the easiest build, but none of my builds are easy to use like that. Some are easier to use than others, but some take extreme patience, and this is one of those builds. So only thing I can say is that I hope you guys enjoy it. And again, this is going to be like the last retro modernization in the for the foreseeable future. Um, I don't know when the next one is going to be, so don't ask. It's going to be, the video is going to be done like whenever the build gets done. So, and that in itself is going to take some time. So I have a couple ideas brewing in my head as to what I'm going to do, but it's really going to take a while. So don't expect it to drop like next week or next month or even, this year, because no guarantee I'm going to be able to do that. So whenever it's done, then I will do the video, and then we're going to bring retro modernization to a close. And with that being said, peace. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you later.